News alert, we're here to interrupt all music and rock and roll must cease. We've had an impasse in the governing school act I've been proposing since 2013, communicating with none other than Mike Baleka, House of Representatives in the state of Florida, along with Carlos Trujillo, Manny Diaz, Annie Terez Flores. All have communicated to me in support of amending the Florida Parent Empowerment Law, State Statute 1002-33, Clause 3B. I repeat, State Statute 1002-33, Clause 3B. I'm asking for a simple amendment to this law that I was the first to use in Florida history. That's so elementary, the amendment I'm asking for. Changing an and, the three-letter word, to or, a two-letter word. And or, how elementary. And instead, Mike Baleka has proposed this educational bill that you see on my Facebook post. Go to Blink Radio's Facebook page. There's two of them. They're posted on both of them. And my personal page at Manuel A. Cambo. And you'll see what's so upsetting, so goddamn upsetting, with rhino politicians. We have enough problems with our Democrat friends who've run the public school system since the turn of the century. They've created the mess that we are in. And we're supposed to negotiate with them and be bipartisan and discuss matters with them. As if what? As if they were successful and we needed to reform their ideas to make them better? No, man. No. Trump was elected because nobody wants to hear about Republican Democrats' reform movements. But very few people are out there doing what I'm doing, standing alone. I'm not part of any school choice parental group. I'm not pro-charter. I don't have a problem with charter. It's just too damn slow. Slow boat to China. It would take 50 years to get to 50% of the student body. It would take 100 years to get to 50%. Excuse me, 100 years. Why? Because they're only 10% of the school student body today. Developers have to buy land, speculate on land, build a building. First, find proactive parents to form governing boards, which are called the charter board. Go get the charter. The parents have to go get a charter approved by the school board, appealable by the state governments in most states. And then they have to work with a developer, of which I have a family member who has several schools. So I have knowledge of what it takes to be a functioning charter school. It's a long, tedious task. And the developer takes a lot of risk, and they deserve a lot of credit for the risk they're taking, for the profit they're seeking, as they collect rents from governing boards of parents. Parents have to succeed. What are you going to do with these buildings that they don't? Turn them into Holiday Inns or budget hotels or what? Most of these schools are not even on main drags. They're sometimes in industrial parks and districts. Some of them are converted to warehouses. They have no other use. You'd have to bulldoze everything inside. All the common areas, all the hallway space, classroom space. Doesn't work for anything else. So kudos to my charter school developers for building charter schools. But the way that it's mandated, it's too damn slow to reinvent the public school system. Isn't that what this is all about? Reinventing the public school system and literally taking it away from the progressives and the progressive movements and the statist idiots that are out there who teach our kids the power of the collective instead of the power of the individual. There's no liberty-minded, no conservative ethos in public school today. But imagine, it's a recruitment tool for what ends up becoming statist, socialist, liberal universities. And then the kids come out voting for socialism, as you saw. Never forget Hillary Clinton still mouthing her off in public on the radio, still mouthing her off at the Grammys. You still hear her getting interviewed. She still thinks that she's the bomb, because, you know, she got the popular vote. Well, come on. Of course she has a popular vote. She's got the whole school system. Producing adults who can't parent, who are divorced, who think socialism is cool, that it's the way, that sell the idea of the fix. You saw the public school teacher in, I believe it was Arizona today, calling Navy SEALs the worst among us. Are you kidding me? Public school teachers, look at yourselves. If you're selling out to the public school district because you want to keep your job, you're selling out. You're the worst among us. I understand the system doesn't let you teach, but you won't join charter either, especially charter school development situations. But the magic bullet in reinventing the public school system is my idea, governingschool.com, which leads me to a perfect segue. The bastardized concept that has now come up in this education bill by Mike Baleka, someone who has sat down with my attorney, had lunch, was told intimately about what his client was doing, which was me, in Tallahassee, with Carlos Trujillo, about what I did in 2013 in Miami-Dade County at the Key Biscayne K-8 Center, where I was subjecting my daughter to abuse by teachers, and I was, as PTA president, asked to resign for preserving my number one obligation under the purpose clauses in the PTA: maintain security and health, public well-being of the school. Number one, safety in schools. Number two, it's actually purpose clause D in the bylaws of the time, which were there for decades. Altered a little bit now, I wonder why, where it says bring the home life closer to the school life, to give children an environment. Well, what better way to create a positive learning environment to have parents running and administering the school budget, directly funded from the state of Florida, that gets passed through the school district so they can collect a little bit. Since they're going to lose the money, the $9,900 that goes to district, I believe it's $9,200 that goes to charter in a converted format. My vision played out perfectly. I got crushed. They demanded I resign on a Tuesday. They held a family forum on a Thursday. They used the same PTA title they accused me of using. They conducted a panel. The panel didn't have me on it, the person who was calling the vote, and I'm in the back heckling, denying me my rights to free speech and assembly. And then, of course, teachers threatening, they vote in the law. They vote separately from parents. They vote to veto the parents. And if you get their vote, then you win. So is that a Florida empowerment law, 1002-33-3B? No, it's not. It's a teacher empowerment law. Gives them more power than ever, passed by Lawton Childs. And guess who made it effectual so that I can actually use it? Mr. Governor the Chameleon, Charlie Crist. And I have to thank him because he actually promulgated the law because Jeb Bush sat on it for 8 years. So what am I supposed to think? Here comes Mike Baleka, chairman of the Education Committee, proposing a mega bill. And inside that mega bill is the governing school. Did he steal my idea or what? He didn't. He just stole the name to muddy the water, diffuse and bifurcate my argument, and allow the district to basically create governing boards of parents. Hello, we already have that. It's called ESAC. ESAC, E-E-S-A-C. Or perhaps it's E-S-A-C. Educational Excellence, I don't know the freaking name, I just try to block it out. Because I sat on ESAC, and it has a considerable amount of nothing, absolutely nothing. You sit on the board, you complain about the school, nothing happens. You definitely don't have anything to do with the budget, the textbooks, or the safety in the school. Zero. You can make recommendations, they can hear them or they don't hear them, it doesn't matter. So what's the difference between this governing school? You want to change the name and bifurcate my argument? Are you kidding me? So, okay, Mr. Baleka, this is your last term, right? Is that why you're taking on the argument? Like you're like Carlos Trujillo, you're both on your last legislative year before your term limited? Both of you have told me, you go get the votes yourself and we'll support you. That was back in 2013 and 14. Didn't I elect these people to go get the votes? Or no, I should go get the vote. Oh, really? Mr. Corrigan, if you're running for governor, sorry to tell you, you haven't replied either. Everybody out there, if you're on live streaming, WSQFradio.com/live, you can hear me in Pakistan, for Christ's sake. You can hear me in Alaska. Anywhere in the nation, you can hear me. You can also hear me on radio.garden. Just pull up to Key Biscayne, the island of Key Biscayne, just south of downtown Miami. You can hear me there. So if you guys can't hear me on the radio, Bluetooth, boys, girls. In denying my freedom of speech, that's why I built this station, so I can talk to you directly. Facebook Live, how are you folks? As you can see, I can't reply to your comments. I see them going up and down the screen. I can't reply to them right now. I'm just going to rant because I read the Miami Herald article today on the mega education bill. It's posted just below this live feed. My comments are contained herein. So I ask you conservatives, we've got the Trumpetopian in the office. What are we going to do about it? We're going to waste another opportunity? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to reinvent school, or are we going to keep on talking about reform so the liberals can just keep on pillaging the taxpayer? You know what's beautiful about my idea? TheGoverningSchool.com. Go to it. The same words he used, Mike Boleka used. Same words. Governing school, governing boards. Same thing I used. Where did he get that from? Could he possibly be hearing community radio out there? Because I'm slamming him. You're the worst kind of Republican, Mr. Boleka. I'll call you Mr. just because. I was raised to call people who are elected by the people Mr. and honorable. You know what's so beautiful about the governing school? Not only do parents control the budget and save surplus to build their own school, expand them, and modernize them, but guess what? The community at large will no longer be subjected to massive school bonds. Especially in the big counties, the big school districts that are ripping us off. You notice there's a school bond every 25 years when the last school bond is due. And do the schools get repaired? Do the surpluses in overcrowded schools that have extra money because they got more students, they get funded more? Do the schools actually see it? No. Our school didn't see it for like 60 years. I found $1 million there in the Key Biscayne K-8 Center. They deny me my freedom of speech, I buy it back with this station. You deny it one mile, I buy it back for 10 miles. That's America. I put my money where my mouth is. I could have bought a boat with what I spent on this thing. But I wanted my freedom of speech back. You know why? Because my parents came to this country so that I would never lose my freedom of speech, so I could be born here in America. Born in the USA. So relax, gringos, I'm legal. If you're listening to me on Facebook, I'm Hispanic, I'm brown, but I'm legal and I'm conservative and I'm Republican. And a Trump supporter, and I'm definitely a deplorable. Used to be a cruiser, Ted Cruz. Go to my YouTube page if you don't believe me. Go ahead, go. Go to my YouTube page, MacontheRock Rampage. Look for a video, Ted and I on a tarmac. See if Ted Cruz and I don't get along. Marco Rubio, we used to get along. The only person who's willing to accept my idea for truth and fact is one other than Ron DeSantis, who's now running for governor. He believes in it. Hope he keeps his word. Rick Scott believed in it. Did nothing. He wants to be senator. Did nothing in Florida in relationship to just changing an and to an or. The law already exists. This is the only state that has it. Direct ballot parent trigger law. We were the first to use it. Save the surpluses. Rebuild your schools with your surpluses. Wait 3 or 4 years. Get rid of the textbooks that are printed today. They're all determined by one large school district in Texas. I see your comments and you flaming. I don't see very little likes and hearts out there. Or a bunch of statist liberals commenting, because you guys are free to comment. I don't see no love out there though. I don't see any hearts flying through the screen. Guys, it's about our kids. Every change we make has nothing to do with you and I. By the time these changes take effect, we're looking at the tombstone. That's why I'm involved with the Convention of States movement. I'm involved with the Convention of States movement because I plan to not see any single benefit that I create. Thank you for showing me some love. Look at that. Lighten up like a Christmas tree. Love it. Or is it a Valentine's tree? Thank you very much, Facebook. Because here in radio, who's in their car? I hope you guys are not slamming into each other. Because this is like the mainland maggot hour. 5:20, everybody's getting out of their jobs and sitting there in 836 traffic and I-95 traffic and down Old Cutler Road traffic and US 1 traffic. I don't live in traffic. I live in Key Biscayne. Why? Because my father lived the American dream. So he can move me out here in 1975. And I get to see the abyss. I get to see Cuba from my window, like Sarah Palin would say. I live on the ocean front facing south. I can see Havana from here, for Christ's sake. How come us Cuban Americans and American Cubans like me born here, which, by the way, if you're born here in America and your parents are Cuban, don't call yourself Cuban American. That's them, naturalized. You and me are native, so call yourself American Cubans. Because you're Americans first. Do that, please. Told that to Marco, he chagrined at me. He looked at me like, yeah, smarty pants. You know, I'm 10 years older than him. Who's a smarty pants? Could be your dad, you freak. I'm sick and tired of Republican rhinos. Mike Baleka's a classic one. Carlos Trujillo. Carlos Trujillo gets a promotion for being a dunce in his second term. He gets to be on Organization of American States for Trump. Because, you know, he came out for Trump first. When I was state cruiser, he was Trump. Okay, he won. I voted for Trump. I would never vote for a Democrat. I'm not going to vote for a thief, a liar, and a rat racer. I saw a beautiful video today. Democrats are coming. It was a rat shampooing himself. I don't know if it was a rat. Maybe it was a gerbil. But he was, you know. If you're stealing from someone else, another taxpayer, you're a thief. You know you're a thief. I don't care who you're giving it to. You're still stealing from the public trough. And if you're receiving government money, I'll accept that you accept help for like a year. But that's about it. But subsidized housing and all that stuff, what has it done for you and the generations who have received it? You just stay poor. There's no shame in being poor anymore. There's supposed to be only compassion for being poor. Hey, man, poverty's not a right. My dad came here with $70 and didn't even know English. Finished the 7th grade. Come on. What am I supposed to do? Just watch this country go to the abyss? The country that gave me the opportunity to be born free? No, man, I can't. And what's really hilarious about my idea for public school and reinventing the public school that I wrote in my book called The Fiscals, go to the website, thefiscals.com. Every chapter's a website. Criticize the typos if you want, but look at the content, please. It'll come out in paperback and I'll take down the site. Right now, the whole book is free. There's 366 pages there. I don't use the word reform. I use reinvention. Reinvent all these things. This is just one chapter. Let me show you. See this? I'm going to go over to the screen on Facebook. I'm going to turn on the other two microphones so you guys can hear me. Here we go. That's the book, thefiscals.com. See it? The reinvention of the United States by affect, not effect. American Cuban, laugh out loud. It's not funny. America first. So if you guys know Mike Baleka, I posted on the site there on Facebook his local phone number and his Tallahassee number. Flood the calls. We support Manny Cambeau, alias MacontheRock of Blink Radio, WSQF, where I blink once. Yes, I said it. Blink twice. Yes, you missed it. You know what that says right there? Black sheep. I'm a black sheep in the reinvention of public school. I submitted my daughter to abuse in the 5th grade by a teacher because her father was submitting a trigger letter at Key Biscayne K-8 Center. Denied his freedom of speech, denied her freedom of speech. And she wrote a beautiful testimony of what happened that day. Beautiful, 5th grader. Today she's a 6 foot tall 10th grader. And you know what? No skin off her back. More confident than ever. Growing day and night, blisters over blisters over blisters on her hands. Getting up at 6 in the morning to row. And guess what? They're good. We're out there kicking ass all over the country. So kudos to the Miami Rowing Club for making her the woman she is. She rows on an 8. She's the one seat on an 8. Very proud of my daughter, Una, who took on her school teacher, told her school teacher, "You're lying," while the kids pounded their table. "No charter, no charter, no charter." She wrote a testimony. I gave it to Governor Scott at a fundraiser for his re-election. He says, "I'm going to look into this, and I invite you to Tallahassee." And Tallahassee I went. Sat with his Secretary of Education. She looked at me with a dumb face, like she was supporting me. Then I went over to Don Getz, Senate President. This is all 2013, right after the vote, after I got slammed, 531 to 31. And the teachers vote 83-0 against me. And I've written guest commentaries in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14. And each time I told this council, village council, stand up for the kids in this town. We have a peculiar town. We have economic apartheid here in the Key. Our aliens, our immigrant aliens, are not illegal. And they're higher tax-paying citizens than American citizens. Most of them don't have the homestead exemption. They have $1 million homes. You can have a person paying $6,000, $8,000, $9,000 for an apartment. The guy next door paying $18,000, $30,000, $35,000. In the houses, it gets worse. $18,000, $11,000, $12,000. The guy next door could be paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $90,000, $100,000, $300,000. And they don't vote for mayor or council member on the Key. I wrote about that. I also wrote about the school called Rolette Elementary. Check out Rolette. My vision playing itself out perfectly, except for one reality. The law is still the same. Teachers are more powerful than ever. They can veto parents. Imagine if the parents would have voted 531 to 31 in my favor, and the teachers vote 83-0 against them. What kind of school environment is that? That closed, Charlie Crist inspired voting guidelines that were supposed to be transparent. What's transparent about two parents having the guts to do what we did, and then separate ballots? On ballot day, you should have seen the two boxes. There they were. Teachers putting ballots in one box, parents in others. Everybody scared of the dickens, and I, who had to count the votes, or witness counting the votes, which since I was no longer PTA president, I gave it the opportunity as a satirical promotion to the very person on the board named Heidi Brito, who was part of the so-called conspiracy to have me resign. 103 parents, 107 parents, or 103 parents in the cafeteria saying I was dividing the community. And I sat there and looked at them, and I must say it was kind of messianic. You kind of get like a God complex. You're like, oh my God, this must be how Jesus felt. I was sitting there on the stage looking down at all these parents demanding I resign. I'm saying, wait a second, I'm demanding the school be empowered by parents. It was an A school, therefore it should have an A building. We knocked down the school, saved the surpluses. I even had $9 million floating out there in a voluntary contribution by Oceania. And this is all coming back to life again, you know. I tell the story. I wear it on my sleeve, there's no doubt. But man, I've been vindicated, you know. They renovated the school because they won. And then breast cancer all over the school. 4 teachers with breast cancer. There's a 5th ex-principal with breast cancer who wrote a guest commentary in opposition to me. Wife of a mayor. Someone that I'm very fond of, both of them. But they blew it here. She was also assistant superintendent to the public school system, involved in the Neva King Cooper case, which inspired me to do what I did in 2013. Neva King Cooper, right now, that case is sitting in civil rights court, which I'm more than happy to testify. A civil rights case. Fernandez Cristobal versus School Board of Miami-Dade County. Check it out. Google it yourself. Judge Darren Gales. In his judge order, he mentions our case of being abused. Hector Ceballos and I. So this is obviously personal, but man, the legal implications are huge. You know, Florida could be the trailblazer for the reinvention of the public school system. Because imagine it would spread to Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, the South. Speaking of the South, when Katrina came through New Orleans, all the schools were knocked down all over Louisiana. I'm naming New Orleans just because it was a coastal city. That's what was in the news. But the truth is, all the schools, some 60 schools, were leveled right off their pads. As you can see where the pads. The Louisiana legislature passed like a school district, a form of funding for school choice. 60 schools were built in like 30 months. Saved the school system, because while those kids couldn't go to those schools, where were they? On the streets. After Hurricane Katrina. Not to mention no water, no sterile this, no sterile that. The breaches into the hood there. I think it was called the 9th Ward or something. All those schools were gone too. And charter saved the city of New Orleans and probably the state of Louisiana. Because charter went in there, developers went in there and rebuilt those schools in the 30 months construction time. Whatever time they got their bill of health to go build, I'm sure the permitting process was probably fast, real fast, New Orleans, famously fast. And they saved the state of Louisiana after Katrina. Guess what Alabama did and Mississippi did? How many charters did they build after Katrina? They got hit by the same storm. 1. Because a democratically controlled legislator said charter is racist. It's a way of segregating students. Wait a second, a storm just passed. You want to rebuild the schools or not? Regardless of what you think about charter. The beauty about charter is that when they fail, they go out of business. Our public schools, when they fail, they stay open forever. Keep on failing. They get to be called F schools. And then maybe someone get to fire a trigger letter. You got to be called an F school in all the other states. There's 6 other or 7 other states. Maybe there's more. I'd like to get an update on that. Maybe there's more states that have a parent trigger law, but none of them are direct ballot. Hawaii has a ballot initiative for a charter, but it has to get an approval of 1 school board member. Some of the others might have that as well by now. But ours is direct ballot, man. Show up, hand the teacher a trigger letter like I did with Hector, and boom, 90 days, lick the stamps. Dade County School District, go ahead, lick the stamps and send out the mailing. But they get to control the wording on the ballot. I don't have a complaint about the wording on the ballot. Quite frankly, I thought it was fair. The wording was. But they control the mailing list. I didn't get to send out a mailing list. They could slant it any way they want. I couldn't respond. Plus, they denied me sit on the Family Forum Council, the panel. It's all facilities people. It really was. They were sitting there. And worst of all, that part of the entourage was Anna Rasco, who knows me personally, who sat there as chief of staff of Carvalho. Carvalho nowhere to be seen, the ghost. He just admitted the other day that he once was an illegal immigrant. He once was naturalized, and many people might have felt he was illegal. I agree, he was illegal. He was an undocumented immigrant. A person I admire, basically, because, he's a physics teacher, principal, and superintendent of public schools. He knows that I admire him. He knows that we look eye to eye. He knows what I'm up to. He knows that I'm right on the money. He just wants control. He likes to stay over my dead body, or his Trump going to come in here, and he's going to create a pseudo sanctuary city within the public school district. And he said that in a speech just the other day. Well, guess what, my friend? I would revoke your citizenship because you denied, as a naturalized American citizen, you denied someone their constitutional rights. 4 of us, all born here. Fernandez, Cristobal, Ramirez, Tambol, yours truly, and Hector Ceballos. I believe all of us were born in the United States. You denied us our civil rights. You're naturalized. You misused your power to deny me my civil rights. Now you're in court. I'm going to testify against you if Cristobal and Fernandez don't get bought. I don't think they are. I don't know them personally, but I communicated and supported on Herald.com. I've spoken to them on the phone, and I believe that they're going to stand to their guns because they were harmed. Ramirez, she already settled. And the judge already reversed one of his decisions, so it's on appeal again. This is how this stuff works. And while you sit there and like, or dislike, or boo, your school system sucks and you know it. Our kids are not competing. Who's competing? The really bright ones. The group that'll survive under any circumstances. People like my daughter, who in overcrowded conditions survive, do well. You know, there's a lot of kids that just can't survive in an overcrowded condition. They don't have the luck of having mom and dad giving a damn. They don't have family structures in their homes. Nothing to do with them. That's why schools have to be modernized, state of the art, not overcrowded, and definitely not getting people sick as our school got sick. Real sick. But here's another story. Rolette Elementary. Keep the comments going so I know you're there. Or keep on sending me love to give me the mojo. Because I don't have no coffee around here. Normally I get my mojo from my coffee. I'm on my 5th coffee. And when I read this today, I was just dying to talk about it. I mentioned in one of my guest commenters in my community, by the way, I failed to put these guest commenters in the Miami Herald. The Miami Herald ended up doing a front page article about me and Hector on a Sunday, and it was disgusting fake news. I love to share this with my president. Hey, President Trump, I was fake news before you were fake news, and I also trumped this community like you trumped the United States. Because I wasn't at all pleasant, but I wasn't lying either. I was direct. I was telling them what it is. You guys are in A school? You're giving yourself every award? The K-8 Center today has gotten like 3 more awards. Imagine, they stand up to conversion to charter. That's half of it right there. Kids were always smart. Kids will always do well. They're from affluent families where I think 72% of us are college graduate, me excluded. Think about that. Think about those apples. Think about that. The guy from GED graduated by exam. Public school though. Thrown out of a prep school, graduated by exam. I don't go to a university level accredited university until just recently when I got some degree from the Miami Media School for radio, broadcast, and television. So yeah, I'm a college graduate now, but I did poorly in school. Where was Harvard and Yale, Stanford, Berkeley? Where were you guys support the school here? Where were you guys? Nowhere. Where are the men in this town? Nowhere. Yeah, man, we support you. Yeah, we support you. And then I look under the table. There they all are under the table. Yeah, they support me. They don't bring anybody to the mix. Nothing. What was the most glorious part of the whole campaign was his giant bluff, which was the threat of doing conversion to charter K through 12 in order to build Mass Academy. And it worked. It worked like a charm. 2011. Imposed myself on the zoning board when the Oceania project was being built, claiming that the $9 million should go to school by just simply asking questions. I didn't go in there like I am now, moving my hands, with my bolo hat. Just asking questions. Why isn't this being considered? Why isn't school being considered for these $9 million? Where did the impact fees go? First denied that there was no impact fees, and then I tell the audience, tell the public, a public record, total setup. Because in the 15 minutes that I asked questions, I had all the video evidence I needed that the school concurrencies were never met, never even studied, and the developer site plan could be appealed. If the developer comes to the podium and says, hey, I don't want no I don't want anybody to think there's some shenanigans. You guys told me that the $9 million was supposed to go to Parkland. Well, if anybody's been to Key Biscayne, Parkland? Come on. There's more park blades of grass here and trees for a person than anywhere, probably in the southern United States, if not the whole United States. We're 1 square mile on a 9-mile island with parks surrounding, state park, county park, city park in the middle. We need more money for parks? Come on. Please. 154 units impacted an overcrowded school by 66 student stations. Busted. My mistake, of course, was not appealing the site plan and taking the $9 million and running for PTA president with the $9 million in my hands. We're going to build K through 12 here. Let's convert this to charter, but K-8 now becomes a K-12. I wonder how that election would have gone. Teachers still would have voted 83-0. All these teachers, by the way, who voted against the parents and voted no against moi, half of them are gone. What are liberals saying about teachers? They're stakeholders in your school. No, they're not. They're not stakeholders. They're employees that are owned by a superintendent who can move them out. No wonder they won't vote for you, because if I lose and they do vote for me, my God, they're taken out of a nice school and a nice Key Biscayne. They'll end up in an inner city school having pencils thrown at them and threatened with stabbing by scissors or something. This is real in America. Imagine Detroit. Imagine Ferguson, Baltimore. Imagine what those public schools are like. Our inner city. I don't even think it's just inner city anymore. I bet you there's middle class schools out there that teachers feel like, watch out what you say and what you do, because you're gonna have the kids come down on you. You see fist fights and wrestling matches going on. You see our society just tearing at the seams. It's not funny, man. Meanwhile, governments abroad, foreign governments, they're beating us. They're getting scholarships to our schools. Imagine the Chinese people getting scholarships left and right. What's the number one export of China? Everybody says these products they make for us. No, man. Number one export of the People's Republic of China are Chinese people. They're all over the world being exported by their government because they can't feed them there. You got any kind of education, they go run Chinese businesses, American businesses, Japanese businesses, Taiwanese businesses, British companies. In Africa, for instance, the fastest growing economy in the world, not economy, population, is African continent. Full of Chinese everywhere, running around, running business. It's a great export. Chinese talent. American educated. South African educated. British educated. This is a fact, man. Our public school system here is the reason why we have the problems we have in our country. That we don't see it. We don't see it. Creativity's out the window. It's far greater in the first page of this book. Since I put it in my book, I'm very sorry that I'm 53 years old and I got senior moments and I can't remember verbatim what the quote says by John David Garcia, an inventor of the red light, yellow light, and green light in the middle of the sea, the equivalent navigational lights out at sea, and other things. He said it really nicely best. It's far greater to not guarantee happiness, but far greater to create an environment of creativity. Happiness will follow. It's not verbatim, but that's the gist of it. It's far greater for society to create an environment of creativity, and that happiness will follow instead of seeking happiness. Happiness is an affect of doing the right things first. Do first things first. You only live twice. Think about it. You only live twice. So do first things first. I'm trying to figure out what I mean. Everything's so ass backwards that I really don't understand, other than the fact that there is very little common sense, why Mike Boleka would steal my idea calling for governing boards by district managed schools. What could possibly be the reason for that? What could possibly be the reason, other than to dilute my narrative? Should I take it personal or not? I take it personal. I really do. We've had enough input with him, and it's never me face to face. So that goes to say, maybe I should have been face to face, because I let my attorney do the talking, because he was already up in Tallahassee for other business, and he would take the time to have a few words. Carlos Trujillo, on the other hand, I have gone face to face with, and unfortunately, just wasn't a believer. He was more interested in his political career. He was probably right, because by not caring about kids, he's not in my crosshairs, so to speak. And look, Trump is fond of him. He got to host a debate, raised the elevator of his game, and now he's going to be nominated for the Organization of American States. So now he becomes a diplomat. How thought-provoking. Meanwhile, the country's philosophically, morally, ethically, academically, scholastically is being taught status liberalism. The power of the collective, not the individual. Where government is more important than your faith, and government can assist your family. Meanwhile, government is encouraging divorce, single parenthood. You know, the welfare system actually sends more money to the states that collect child support and take kids out of homes, put them into, foster care. You know, you actually get funded more when there are actions like that. In other words, child advocate agencies within county governments and state governments, if they can prove that they've, taken more kids out of homes for whatever reason, violence, domestic violence, drug use, whatever, if they actually go and get the kids and they put more kids in foster care, they actually get funded to deal with that expense. Same with child support. They get a percentage of the child support they collect. It's a federal government's way of helping states be an enforcement agency. But doesn't that also create milestones, artificial milestones within the child advocacy agencies, within county governments, city governments, and state governments? I think so. And yet it's law. So I'm going to go to this other issue that I talked about during those days. In my guest commentary, I had this vision that as parents save surpluses, they save them, and they get funded by their savings. They show the world that the counties have been stealing from them all this time. I mean, think about it. We've had this surplus anywhere probably from $100,000 in the 60s to the million today, because our school has never, ever, ever not been overcrowded. I'd like to ask the people in the 50s, was it overcrowded then? Maybe it wasn't. Back when our houses were selling for $18,000, $20,000, not $1.5 million like they sell now to be knocked down. Rolette Elementary, Manatee County, just posted tremendous success. The vision that I had in my mind, that I articulated in these guest commentaries, plain clear as day. An art school, K through 5, uses our legal precedent, the first school to win after I lost, and was the first school to vote after my defeat, our defeat. Because 31 parents, by the way, did vote for us. So it's our defeat. They grabbed their surpluses and bought a middle school in Manatee County, retrofitting it as we speak. Go to Brannington.com, Brannington, Florida. Google Rolette Elementary. They had the teacher support. It was a visual arts school that needed money. It was being budget cutted grotesquely. So naturally the teacher said, hey, this or nothing. So we want to teach visual arts, dramatic arts. You need lights, camera, sound equipment, auditoriums, recording studios. Imagine the arts and crafts facilities. They need money. It's an expensive school to run. And Brian Flynn, the principal who called us to ask us what to expect when the county comes to town to lie and scare parents away, he didn't seem to be worried, because he was 1 year remaining on his contract. He was going to retire anyway. So today he's the consultant for the Rolette conversion to charter, the only conversion charter school in Manatee County. There are other charters, precisely why I want to call them governing school, because I want the word charter and all its objections to charter to go away, because it really isn't charter. Why isn't it charter? Back to that point in a moment. Rolette Elementary bought a middle school today. Those kids now go from K to 5. Now they're going to be able to go 6th, 7th, and 8th middle school. Rolette Middle School. They don't have to convert this to charter because it's already charter. Now it becomes probably a generic charter because you didn't have to call a vote or anything. What's beautiful about converting to school to charter is you don't pay rent to the county after you win the election. Imagine that. You can compete with charter straight up with benefits. You don't have to market for new students. The students are already there. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to buy land. And you just get to save surpluses. Teachers get to stay in the school. That was another big lie. Teachers stay in the Florida retirement system. It's so important to know that. Let me repeat. If you vote yes for charter and you win, the teachers who are in the school can stay, get full benefits, insurance, pension, everything. The only thing they don't get is tenure, meaning you can be fired. And if you get fired, you still stay in the public school system. You go back to district school. There's where you're fearing. That's where you're most scared. Because now you came with us and it didn't work out. We got rid of you because you sucked. And now you have a tough time getting back into district school. They'll take you. Because it could be a shortage of teachers, obviously. As there always are. So imagine that. You don't pay rent to the county. It's your facility to begin with because you're the taxpayer. So the county can't possibly think it's their school because it's not. That's the problem with government and government bureaucracies. They believe that their inventory is theirs, that the money is theirs, that it's stealing from the government. You know, you're not stealing from the government. You reduce taxes, you're not stealing from the government. You take it back what's yours. They've shown time and time again they'll misspend it. You know the story that if you don't spend every money in your department's budget, you're getting less of it next year. So if you want to keep your job, you want to make sure that budget doesn't get cut. Well, Elementary's got its own middle school. Louisiana has a bunch of charter schools after Katrina. I wonder how many Mississippi has since then. Will they snap out of it and have more? And of course, at the rapid pace of those charters, it being Louisiana, don't think it's like scandal-free. There's some plenty hairy stuff going on there. That's another thing about charter school and charter school developers. Permitting becomes an issue. The politics of permitting become an issue. Who gets what becomes an issue. The government still got their hands in on something, so you know it's not going to work perfectly. But if you want to reinvent the United States, coveringschool.com tells the whole story. Everything is there on the internet. Watch it, man. Watch it. Watch what two guys can do. Mass Academy was built before I even fired the trigger letter. Not built, but in the works. I was elected on a Tuesday. I think within a week or two, they announced the negotiations between Village of Key Biscayne and Mass School Board. Not the Mass School Board, the School Board of Miami-Dade County, to the benefit of building an annex, an additional building. If you look at the building, it's incredibly impressive looking building. It looks like Noah's Ark. Laser lights at night, turning red, turning green, turning blue. I think just primary colors. Back and forth. If you're out at sea, it's really impressive. Inside, I think it's spacious. I think it's well done. But our city, of course, stuck their hands in, wanted to reduce the K8 Center to a K5, which is in the ILA that it cannot. That's where you know I was involved, because as PTA president, I was involved, and I had created the leverage of the K through 12. So they made one concession to me, promising me an ILA, which are non-binding, by the way, interlocal agreements. Non-binding, saying that they can't and they should not, unless they desire, or because the needs require. You can't reduce a K8 Center to a K5 or 6, which is what I graduated from in 1977. That's why I had an easy, unopposed victory as president. Nobody wants the job. As soon as I said I'm a graduate from 1977, there was no candidates to run. Slam dunk victory. Hector also won that way. Hector is the only man who manned up. The minute I told him, sure man, I'll do it. I'll run for PTA. We're going to fire a trigger letter. It's going to get hairy. Your kids are going to get abused. No problem. I'm from the Bronx. You grew up in the Bronx, you can handle anything. And sure enough, he was there standing next to me. No one else though. 31 parents supported us. Terrible ratio. Terrible, 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 terrible. So as you can see, I'm winding down. I've been ranting now for a solid 50 minutes. So I'm just gonna let you hear me in harmony. Harry Connick Jr. Or would you prefer Love Her Madly or Sammy Hagar's Heavy Metal? I don't think so. I think Harry Connick Jr., since we're talking New Orleans. Stay free, my friends.
This to